Hello, and thank you for tuning into this video on what is somatic experiencing. I'm Kyra Maestra, the founder of Somastery, a company devoted to deep transformational trauma healing, and we also provide masterful integration support for the entire spectrum of psychedelic-assisted therapies. To jump right into it, the word somatic just means in relation to the body as opposed to the mind. So somatic therapies could include dance therapies and yoga therapies, but somatic experiencing therapy is a really beautiful, interesting modality that focuses on a bottom-up approach, which means it speaks directly to the unconscious mind. Instead of a top-down therapy like cognitive talk therapy, where we're trying to create change in the system from a really cognitive place, this creates change in the system from a really subconscious place that focuses on our nervous system and on our body's deep experience. What you can expect when you go to a somatic experiencing practitioner or therapist is almost like a guided meditation. And you'll be talking with the therapist, and he or she will be bringing in these 5 different elements to move your awareness around as you go through the experience. So these 5 different things that he or she will be pointing out are body sensations, which are like inner body sensations. So that feeling when something worries you and your stomach gets really tight all of a sudden, or you're fighting with somebody and you get like a lump in your throat. These inner body sensations that are really just energy moving. So the person will tune you into that. They'll tune you into visuals and visualizations. So they'll ask, can you see that in your mind's eye? The next one is body movements. And this could be like maybe your hands are twitching and it seems like they want to go into a fist. Or it's the same thing when something gets thrown at you unexpectedly and your hands go up. It's not a cognitive thing that you have to think about doing. It's just what your body intuitively, instinctively, deeply knows it needs to do. So these intuitive, impulsive body movements. And then emotions. So the emotional component of what's happening, we'll keep tuning back into that and seeing if there's an emotion in these places. And then the last one is the mind, the cognitive, which is like the part of you that makes connections and correlations. The part of you that's like, oh, my throat has a lump in it. It must be because of this. It's like those correlations that we're drawing. And we're just going to bounce around these 5 different questions of like, what do you think about this? Do you see it in your mind's eye? Is it somewhere in your body? Oh, it is somewhere in your body. What does it look like? Is there an emotion there? And we're just going to bounce around these things. And what happens is that your body has these interesting cathartic releases of energy. It's like releases of the fight or flight response that has been stuck in the body. So another core part of this therapy is that we're trying to complete fight or flight responses that never got to be completed. You can imagine it like if somebody got assaulted and they needed to run, they needed to activate that flight response, but maybe they didn't get to. And that might be stuck in the system, leaving them with a feeling of helplessness because their body never got to do what it needed to do in that moment. So by following the flows of these different ways of our own experience, ways of experiencing something, we can access this flight response, and maybe the person gets to move their legs a little bit and they suddenly feel hot and like they have goosebumps everywhere, and it just releases and their body suddenly de-escalates all the way and feels really relieved. And instead of this being like a regular mode of catharsis, like catharsis was a big movement in the 60s, this actually integrates the experience. So it's not just these energetic releases, it really, really laces this experience into the body so that our body knows that whatever happened is over and we really, truly are here now. Another little component to this that I want to talk about is that the nervous system has this beautiful little pulse of regulated into fight or flight, and then back into regulated and into fight or flight and back into regulated. This is a really important part of our human experience. This is really essential for us being fully functioning human beings, because if it gets stuck on, even though just a little bit, maybe we're going to be hypervigilant and really anxious and maybe have panic attacks and maybe our heart's racing a lot. And if it gets stuck off, maybe we're depressed and uninterested and lethargic all the time and tired. And we can go through cycles of being in either one of these places, but we want to reestablish this nice rhythm. Because when we go through something traumatic, the rhythm might get stuck one or the other place, or maybe it's just bouncing all over the place and there's no easy escalation and de-escalation in the system. So as we're tracking these experiences, these types of experiences that you might be having, us as the practitioners are safeguarding your nervous system to raise it into little bits of activation and then de-escalate it, and little bits of activation and de-escalate it while we're completing these fight or flight responses. Feel free to drop questions if you're watching this on YouTube. We're going to be doing more videos on what is trauma and more about psychedelic assisted therapies. You can also check out my website at somastery.com. Thanks for tuning in.